Isang magandang araw sa ating lahat mga kabayan. Welcome and welcome back sa ating channel, The Opinionated Kabayan. Kamusta kayo? Sana ay nasa mabuti kayong kalagayan. Another day, another video opinion na naman tayo. Sa mga hindi pa nakasubscribe sa ating channel, ay mag-subscribe na kayo para lagi kayong updated sa ating mga video opinions here. Mga kabayan, alam nyo bang isang famous vlogger or content creator sa Amerika ngayon ang tinatakot ng kampo ni Quiboloy na sasampahan nila ng kaso? Hindi lang siya isang ordinaryong vlogger, kundi isa siyang sikat na internet celebrity. And siguro, some of you may have come across some of his videos already. Siya ay si Ray William Johnson, at ito ang kanyang YouTube channel. Meron lang naman siyang 17.7 na milyong subscribers. I have put the link of his channel in the description below so that you guys could visit and subscribe to his channel as well. He made a video on his channel entitled, I'm Not Sorry. And this is about the email na sinend sa kanya ng lawyer ni Quiboloy, na si Attorney Torion, kung saan he's being threatened of a lawsuit. Let's watch that video para malaman natin ang details.
So this guy is me, and I'm being threatened with a lawsuit. Let me explain. A few months ago, I told a story about this turd, Apollo Pool Boy, or whatever the hell his name is. In case you forgot, he's the guy from the Philippines who claims that he's the son of God. And he started his own church, and he got really rich off of it, and apparently he started sexually abusing his followers. Then he became wanted in 2 different countries, and then, bam, he gets arrested. Here's his mugshot, and now the man who claims to be the son of God is sitting in jail in the Philippines. So a few months ago, I told this story, and I outlined a lot of the crimes he's being accused of, and then I moved on to the next story, and I didn't really think anything about it. Sometime later, I check an email account that I check like once every 6 months, and I see that I got an email from a law firm in the Philippines stating that they represent Apollo. And they sent me this very long and detailed demand letter telling me basically they're gonna take legal action against me, probably sue me, if I don't not only take down my video, but they're insisting that I make a public apology.
So ayun siya mga kabayan. Ang lawyer ni Quiboloy, na si Israelito Torion, ang nag-send ng email na yan, telling this vlogger na burahin yung earlier video niya about Quiboloy, and inuutusan pa siyang mag-public apology. This is very typical of Quiboloy, kasi ganyan din ang scare tactic na ginagawa nila sa mga victims na nag-testify against him, lalo na si Arlene Stone. Now, bakit naman kaya gusto siyang kasuhan ng kampo ni Quiboloy? At ano ba yung video na sinasabi niyang pinost niya about Quiboloy a few months ago? Let's watch it here, and please stick until the end of this video, mga kabayan, para malaman din natin what this vlogger has to say about this threat, and I promise you, matutuwa kayo.
So this guy is a mega church preacher, and he gets a little pervy, and now he's on the run from the FBI. Now the guy's name is Apollo. He's 24, he's from the Philippines, and he's a small-time preacher there. And one day he's preaching in a little chapel when suddenly angels appear to him. And they come and they tell him that he's actually the son of his God. So he starts telling everyone that he is the appointed son of God. Well, I'm sure this will end well for him. So anyway, because of this, he decides to start his own church. And a few years later, after the church is founded, this guy shows up, Rodrigo. And Rodrigo's running for mayor, and he comes to speak to the congregation at the church. And they welcome him, and soon enough, he and Apollo become good friends. And later, Rodrigo actually gets elected mayor, and he appoints Apollo to be his spiritual advisor. And so then more people find out about Apollo and his teachings, and his church starts to grow, and soon the donations start rolling in. Because, of course they do. But these donations aren't enough for Apollo. He wants more. So he gets the full-time working members of the church to go out at 6 a.m. every morning and solicit money from strangers for the church. The only catch is they can't come home until they reach their daily quota of money collected. So, to avoid sleeping on the street, the members of the church start playing on people's sympathy. Like they pretend to be poor college students, or they pretend to be disabled, but whatever, it works, and the church makes a ton of money. And so pretty quickly, Pastor Apollo becomes a very wealthy man. He's so wealthy, in fact, that he's able to start his own broadcasting network, and this helps spread his teachings beyond the Philippines. So now he's got followers around the world, in many different countries, including the United States. And this is where Apollo really levels up. And with the help of his innermost circle, he traffics his most obedient followers into the US, where they start working and soliciting donations from people full-time. So he's making even more money. Oh, and I haven't even gotten to some of the crazy stuff this guy claims. Aside from saying he's the son of some god, he once claimed that he yelled at an earthquake and made it stop. Like there was an earthquake happening, and he's just like, ah! And it just stopped. And he also says that the public should thank him for stopping that earthquake. Thanks, Apollo. He also claims that he talks to his god directly, not metaphorically, but like conversations directly. He also says that he has visions of his god. He claims that he has been physically taken up into heaven on multiple occasions. I mean, this guy has said and done way too much for me to cover in one video. But anyway, and if that's not crazy enough, here's the part of the story where things start to get creepy. Among his church workers, the ones who are young, attractive women and who excel at getting donations, they get to move up and become what's called pastoral assistants. And of course, the prettiest and most obedient pastoral assistants, they get into Apollo's inner circle, and they become what are called spiritual wives. And spiritual wives, they get a special privilege. They get the privilege of smashing with Apollo. Yeah, they literally call it night duty. And these pastoral assistants and spiritual wives are anywhere between 25 years old all the way down to 12 years old. While at this point in the story, Apollo is old as shit. He's 74. And if any of these girls or young women protest their night duty, they're then threatened with eternal damnation. So basically, if they don't smash with him, they're verbally threatened, physically threatened, or he tells them they're going to hell. And to make it worse, these young women depend on the church for their basic needs. Like they live and work at the church. Their entire social life is there. So they're kind of trapped in this. So he's basically trafficking these girls. Like this is sex trafficking. And this nonsense goes on for years, not just in the Philippines, but in their US locations too. And at this point, Apollo is a powerful man. Like his following has grown to over 6 million members worldwide. He claims he has followers in all 200 countries. Plus, with all those donations, he's now wealthier than he's ever been. Dude now owns a private jet and a personal helicopter. He has a church compound that's so massive. It has an indoor arena that seats 75,000 people. To put that in perspective, that's literally the biggest indoor arena in the entire world. And this dude owns it. That's how rich he is. Okay, but then rumors of him essaying young women, they start to spread. And of course, his followers don't believe he's guilty of anything. They stand by him. And religious culty type leaders always have followers who do this, so this is not surprising. But his longtime friend, Mayor Rodrigo, he ends up running for president and he wins. And with the president of the Philippines on his side, every accusation against Apollo is basically buried. So Apollo seems untouchable by this point. He's been running this trafficking business for like 16 years, and it doesn't seem like there are ever going to be any consequences for it. Until, I guess at some point, some of his former church members in the US, they go and report him to the FBI. And the FBI starts looking into him, and this investigation makes the news, and Apollo hears about it, and he's like, oh shit. And he allegedly flees the US, and he goes all the way back to the Philippines to his church compound there. And there, he'll be protected by his longtime friend, President Rodrigo. But unfortunately, his friend Rodrigo finishes his term as president, leaves office, and now there's a new president. And new president is not Apollo's friend. So all the accusations against him in the Philippines are no longer buried. So then, back in the US, bam, the FBI arrests some of his innermost circle, and they're officially looking for Apollo too. And he's being accused of fraud, human trafficking, and sex trafficking, and now he's on the FBI's most wanted list. And so Apollo, he gets all mad, and he's frustrated that they're after him, and he starts lashing out publicly, saying it's a conspiracy. And this is happening during the COVID pandemic, so he gives a sermon telling the world that if we want the pandemic to stop, the FBI should stop investigating him.
I'm warning the whole world. Listen to the voice of the appointed Son. You want this pandemic to stop. Stop prosecuting, maligning the appointed Son.
But then, even more women in the Philippines come forward with accusations against him. And of course, Apollo denies everything, and he insists that the people accusing him are just evil, and he changes the homepage of his website to this: "Why are evil people after Pastor Apollo?" I'm guessing they're after him because of all the sex trafficking, but that's just a guess. Anyway, eventually, the Filipino Senate issues a warrant for his arrest, and they raid some of his properties, but the dude is nowhere to be found. He's fled, and he's hiding out from the law. And there's like this whole manhunt looking for him, and there ends up being a huge standoff at one of his compounds between police and a bunch of his supporters, and his supporters still insist that he didn't do anything wrong, and I don't even have time to get into that part of the story. But 2 weeks later, Apollo finally gives up, and he turns himself in. And bam, they arrest him. Here's his mugshot. And as of right now, he hasn't actually been to trial yet, so we'll see how this plays out.
So yan ang dahilan kung bakit gusto siyang kasuhan ng kampo ni Quiboloy. Kasi ang video na ito ay isang paninira sa reputasyon ng appointed son of God. Given that this vlogger has a massive number of followers on all his social media accounts, ay for sure madami na ang nakapanood niyan. Pero mga kabayan, kung susuriin talaga ang video na yan, ay wala namang sinabi si Ray William Johnson na hindi nanggaling sa mga news about Quiboloy in the first place. Napaka-creative nga ng pagkakagawa ng video na yan eh. No wonder napakadami ng views ng video na yan. Sorry na lang si Quiboloy, dahil we live in the world of social media now. People can post about people however and whatever they want to. Tsaka karma na din talaga yan kay Quiboloy kung anong ginagawa niya through SMNI News, and with his cyber warriors propagating misinformation and disinformation, ay siya na ding ginagawa sa kanya ng mga tao. Hindi ba? Sorry na lang siya kasi mas madaming followers ang vlogger na ito compared sa SMNI News. Now, let's watch naman kung ano ang sagot ng vlogger na ito sa threat ni Quiboloy. Hinamon pa siya nito na puntahan siya sa Amerika at dun sila magharap. For me, ang ginawang threat ng kampo ni Quiboloy sa vlogger na ito ay lalo lang magpapadumi ng reputasyon ni Quiboloy sa buong mundo dahil sinabi pa ng vlogger na ito na lalo pa siyang magpapakalat ng mga kababalaghan ni Quiboloy sa social media. And higit sa lahat, his answer is exactly what all of us has to say about Quiboloy. So watch this.
Now, I haven't replied to this email, so consider this video my official response to Apollo's legal threat. Dear Mr. Apollo, first of all, fuck you. Second of all, I understand you threatening people probably works well for you most of the time. I mean, you're a powerful man. You have a lot of influence in some circles. I get it. I also understand that you and your church are very wealthy. Like you own your own broadcasting network, you own a private jet, a personal helicopter. You own a church compound with an arena that's so massive it seats 75,000 people. Which means when it's done being built, you will own the largest indoor arena in the world. You have an estimated net worth of $100 million. I get it. We all get it. You've gotten very, very rich off of your religion. Here's the thing, though. Your wealth doesn't scare me. Just because you have money doesn't make you untouchable. See, where I'm from, we're very big on our freedom of expression. And if the FBI is accusing you of all these crimes, and the Filipino government is also accusing you of all these crimes, then I reserve the right to make a video about said crimes. In fact, I'm not saying anything about you that the FBI's most wanted poster of you isn't already saying. Like, for example, that you engaged in sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Or that you engaged in sex trafficking of children. Or how about the 74-page grand jury indictment that outlines all these crimes you're being accused of, including sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and sex trafficking of children? Or what about what the Filipino government is formally accusing you of? Sexually abusing your followers or grooming children into sex. That means that you screwed up so bad that two separate governments that aren't even working together on this, that means that they are each, in their own right, independently, accusing you of the same crimes in their respective countries. Are each of these governments just making it up? What, to make you look bad? Sir, you aren't important enough for world governments to just make shit up about you. And what about all the witnesses who came out against you? Are they all just making it up too? The Filipino police identified 68 sexual abuse victims. 68! Bro, you're putting up Bill Cosby numbers. And now that it's all gone public, people like me are talking about it. And you're gonna try and threaten us and silence us with lawsuits? Okay, Apollo, let me make this clear so that you can understand it. When I made my video and suggested that you're a sex trafficker, what I really meant to say was, you're a sex trafficker. Let me say that again. You're a sex trafficker. And in case that wasn't clear, you're a sex trafficker! And if you really don't want people calling you a sex trafficker, then maybe, I don't know, try sex trafficking less. And if my words upset you, if they really, really, truly upset you, then feel free to come to the United States. Oh, that's right, you can't, because you're wanted by the FBI for, what was it again? Oh, that's right, sex trafficking. Oh, and by the way, while I got your attention, here's something else I want you to think about while you sit there in a Filipino jail. Sir, you are not the son of some god. You're definitely not Jesus. Hell, you're not even a free man. You, in fact, are a con artist, a cult leader who apparently can't even get laid without coercing kids into it. You're basically the Filipino Diddy. So no, Mr. Pool Boy, not only am I not going to take down my video, I might just go ahead and post it again, twice, just to show you that I'm not afraid of you. And as far as me making a public apology goes, oh, I got your public apology. I wrote it down and filed it away right in my ass. So go ahead, file your lawsuit. I'll be here waiting, ready to publicize the whole thing and remind the world each time exactly what you're being accused of. Because you will never, never stop me from talking about the awful things that you've done. Good day, sir. And so this is, for you guys, for the rest of you guys, if this Apollo guy does follow through with this and he does file this lawsuit, I will tell you guys everything. As it happens, I will take you along for the ride. Might be fun.